the next part of our webinar really is to introduce the online masterclass series and startup competition, which commences next Thursday, April 1st. So really excited about this competition and masterclass series. And before going any further, I just want to acknowledge our supporters and sponsors who have made all of this possible. And I want to particularly say thank you to the local enterprise office, and in particular to the 3 local enterprise offices in Cork, led by Sean O'Sullivan, Kevin Kern and Paul McGurk, because they have made the competition piece and have sponsored the prizes for the competition piece. So we're very thankful for that. The masterclasses will be facilitated by 2 really interesting people. Firstly, we have Ron Imick, who describes himself at times as a Dutch-Irish entrepreneur, a big fan of books and the power of books. He's been involved in sustainable development programs in Ireland through the Climate Kick, Climate Launchpad. He advises the Sustainable Finance Ireland organisation, and really has a very, very deep knowledge of this area. Judy Russell is a video specialist. She has worked with people like Sky TV and on programs like you see on screen there, The Fear and Young Offenders, which is a very popular program here in Ireland. You also see her on screen interviewing Brendan Gleeson. So does really high quality work around video and is helping entrepreneurs with their video, using video for their purposes. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and hopefully Ron and Judy will pop up. So I can see Ron, and hopefully Judy is there somewhere as well. So there she is. So I suppose first and foremost, Ron and Judy, you're both very welcome.
Thank you.
We get a chance to go through, I suppose, what the masterclass series will be all about, what you see as being, the approach and what success will look like and all that good stuff. But maybe in order to kind of orientate ourselves initially, if I could ask you, and I'll start with Ron on this one, if I could ask you, Ron, just maybe to introduce yourself to the audience and just give us a feel for who you are.
Okay, so I'm Ron. Imink is my last name, and that's not an Irish name, that's actually a Dutch name. I fell in love with an Irish girl in 1994, moved over to Ireland, learned to drink Guinness. I then wrote a book about business planning that started me writing other books. So I'm an author. I've been living in Ireland for the last 25 years. My background is in entrepreneurship. I've managed the Innovation Center in DCU. I work with a lot of large companies on innovation and entrepreneurship. And since 2017, I decided to move to Spain, hence my strange color. So I'm enjoying the sun, reading books, writing books, and helping companies to be successful, particularly around the area of climate change and innovation and strategy.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Ryan. And similar question to you, Judy. Maybe you might give us an introduction to who Judy Russell is.
Sure. And you know what? I always begin with a very quick video. So I'm just going to put you through this for 1 second.
What's your name?
Judy Russell.
Judy what?
Judy Russell.
Judy what, Russell?
Judy Russell Breeder.
So that is the beginning of my video career at 4 years old, when my parents got a camcorder and I became obsessed with the whole thing. However, I went to school and my confidence was knocked completely out of me. And I was like, okay, I can't do that anymore. I'm gonna have to be normal. So I was lucky now I went to UCC and did a master's in business economics, which was great, but I knew I'd never work in it. So I went traveling and I was away for 5 years working in any job I could find until I landed in Costa Rica, and this job came up on Craigslist for a news spokeswoman. So I had no idea if I was going to be murdered in the interview or anything. Thankfully, I wasn't. It was a real company. And I stayed there for 2 years, presenting to camera, writing scripts, and learning all about this whole video world. And to be honest, I thought that every company had one of these studios in the back of their business, like what the Costa Rican company had. And it's only now, since I suppose March last year, that companies are considering investing in this area. So it's really exciting now for me to see it, even though I feel like it's taken way longer than it should have taken. It's finally happening. So that was the beginning of it. Then I went on to study it. I actually had to come home and learn about the technical aspects of it, because I was kind of jealous of the boys. They were doing all the lighting and the sound and the backgrounds and stuff, but I was like, I want to know that stuff too. So came back and did a 12-month course, and then ever since then, that was 10 years ago, I've been working as an editor, a presenter, camera person, the young offenders, the fear on Irish TV. So it's been a very varied kind of background. And now what I do is I teach people. So I try to merge everything that I've learned into a course that helps people to, firstly, I suppose, get better at presenting to camera, and then secondly, at creating videos, planning, filming, and editing videos, so that they can communicate their message 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without having to do it being there physically. So that's my background.
Brilliant. Yeah, and video is such a powerful medium. Maybe we might talk a little bit about that in a while. But Ron, I came across a quote from George Bernard Shaw recently, and I thought of you actually when I saw the quote, right? And the quote is that people who say it cannot be done should not interrupt those doing it. And in the context of entrepreneurship and the kind of action orientation required to be an entrepreneur, I think it's an interesting quote. What do you think?
Well, it's interesting on a number of aspects, because a long time ago, a friend of mine wrote a book called The Myth of Family Support, which is about the reaction when you have a steady job and you have heard a masterclass about entrepreneurship and you get inspired and you come home and you tell your partner, listen, love, I have decided to start my own business. And normally the response is not, oh, love, that's fantastic. It's actually the opposite. And when you then take entrepreneurship, which is being entrepreneurial within a large organization, most entrepreneurs eventually get fired, because large organizations just don't like people doing different things. But if you study the labor market, I think in the future, where careers have a lifespan of maybe 4 or 5 years, where technology becomes all invasive, I think your only future is to become an entrepreneur on the labor market. So doing is incredibly important. And then there is always a misunderstanding around entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship most definitely is not about the idea. That's about 5% of entrepreneurship, but there's actually 95% execution. And a friend of mine have been talking about this. Actually, entrepreneurship is incredibly boring. It is 95% doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, and doing it consistently. And then the other part of it is the selling part, which is also doing. That doesn't just happen. That has something you have to do. So doing is very much underestimated in the context of entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. I hope people will stay on the call now, Ron, after hearing that description of entrepreneurship as being 95% just doing boring things. It's more exciting, of course. But Judy, going back to what you mentioned about video and you know the significance of video, and you mentioned about, you were surprised in a way that it didn't become more mainstream or more significant quicker. You know, talk to me about video as a medium of communication in 2021.
Well, you know, like when I left Costa Rica, I was thinking, I'm coming back to Ireland and I'm going to set up a corporate video business, because all businesses are going to need to make video at the time. And to be honest, it was a tough sell. Like, I remember people being like, I don't think we need video. And I was like, I think you do. And then I was like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they actually don't need video. Maybe I've got this all wrong. And you know, so it's nice to be kind of like, well, it's not nice, because I suppose it's sped up so quickly because of this whole coronavirus that I suppose people are realizing. But I think it would have got there anyway, just maybe it would have taken a little bit longer. But just some stats is that, like, HubSpot in 2018, and this is probably more now than what was back in 2018, but like 54% of consumers want to see more video content from a brand or organization that they support. 50% of people will stop what they're doing to watch a video from an organization that they trust, which is, you know, incredible. And then in 2022, some research has proven that 82% of global internet traffic will come from video streaming and downloads. So I don't know about you guys, but like I find it difficult to read these days. If I go onto a website and there's loads of information, I'm like, oh, I can't read that. I'm like, where's their video? I'm scrolling around looking for their video because that's kind of what I like to consume. And I can just imagine what it's going to be like for the TikTok generation who are, you know, producing and taking and sending each other videos, communicating everything through video. So I feel like the longer it takes you to get on board and learn about this, the more difficult it will be for you in the future. And I'd almost go as far as saying your video skills will almost be as in demand as PowerPoint skills in like 5 to 10 years time. Again, I could be wrong. I'm wrong a lot.
Oh, it's very interesting. And as you say, you talk about the TikTok generation and young people now. I have a teenage son. He's 13, turned 13 in August of last year. So he's now able to have a TikTok account. Started from a standing start in December. At the end of February, he had 1,000 followers. Okay. He now has 5,500 followers. He's absolutely obsessed with football, with soccer. He's a Tottenham Hotspur supporter, which is a bit of a challenge in its own right at the moment because they're not doing particularly well. But in terms of the reach of video, I was chatting with him earlier in preparation for this. So from a standing start in December, he now has on his TikToks, which are all football associated, over 1 million views of his videos, which is just, in terms of reach, is phenomenal. So the power of video, I think, really, and as you say, you come on a website, you're immediately drawn to where is the video that explains this to me. So I think it's an interesting one. Ron, just to pop back to you in terms of, and we're getting tight on time, so I just mentioned to know that, you know, what to expect, I suppose. You're going to be running the Masterclass series on the 1st of April and also on the 15th of April. So maybe you might give us a flavour of...
Yeah, so it will be, there'll be nearly 4 parts. So when you register, we will send you some reading materials for you to prepare for the session on the 1st of April. What I will do, and I will try to make it as interactive as possible, but that's going to be difficult with lots of people, is to talk you to a number of startup methodologies that we apply. And the one we're focused on is one that we particularly use in the area of climate, and we keep it as simple and as sharp as possible. Then we will give you, what I've done is, because I think in books, so I think video is lovely, but books are way, way better than video because it's a video in your own head. We will give you another book which actually covers some conflicting perspectives on business planning, strategy, and then hopefully in the next session, we will go to more a strategic perspective on entrepreneurship and the steps you need to take to move to the next stage. And in between, I will always be available by email to answer any type of question.
That's brilliant, Ron. And I think it's important to let people know that, and you've already articulated this, but this will be about giving people, you know, methodologies, content, some cheat sheets in terms of books that are relevant and how they might be summarized. But really, there's a lot of work needs to go on by the people involved in the masterclass to get full value from it, it's fair to say, isn't it? Ron is after freezing on us. But Judy, to go to you, you'll be looking to, I suppose, bring it all together on the 22nd of April and looking to help people with the video piece of this. So maybe you might give us a bit of an overview of how you intend to approach that.
Sure. So for the first section, I'd hoped to speak about presenting tips and techniques and kind of some equipment. So, you know, I try to not make people buy anything, you know, except for maybe things like a microphone or trying to improve their sound in easy ways. Then, you know, like lights can be household lamps. It doesn't have to be buying anything, and improving the background, making sure that the camera's in the correct position for presenting to camera, things like that. Then I will go into the 8 steps for planning a video, because as part of your deliverable in this, you're going to have to, you know, deliver a pitch video. So we'll try and run through a planning process that I've been using for many years that just simplifies it and makes you think of things that a lot of people say that they wouldn't have thought about until after, and then it's too late. And then in the final part, I just want to give you a quick editing demonstration using a desktop software that you can download for free and use for free for the duration of this, but it is a paid software. But I just want to give you a look at how you can use it for the purpose of this deliverable, using the free trial kind of part of it, so that you can deliver something as part of this challenge or this contest that's really, really professional looking and, you know, speaks to your idea well.
That's brilliant. Thanks so much for that, Judy. And we've worked together before on these types of videos, and the outcomes have been amazing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what people produce ultimately after tuition around it. So I think Ron is gone. Judy, thanks so much for coming on and talking to us today. I'm just going to go and look at some of the admin side of things here. So I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, so hopefully people can see the screen now. So I'm just going to maybe talk through, you know, some of when things are happening. So we have 3 masterclasses. They'll run from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on three dates in April. The 1st of April will be Ron, and he'll look at startup methodologies that work and why. And second masterclass from Ron on the 15th of April, applying the strategic box, passion, purpose, and I can't see the third one myself because and positioning, because the cameras are underway. And the third session will be on April 22nd with Judy Russell, and that's around design, create, and deliver a great video pitch. The competition itself then will involve you submitting a video pitch and some details, short application form of 1 or 2 pages max. So you have at maximum 3 minutes of a video to submit. It doesn't need to be 3 minutes, it could be 2 minutes if that is sufficient for you. And the deadline on that is May 6th. We'll have top 3 pitches. We'll have 3 categories in the first instance, and we'll have 3 prize winners in each category, and each prize winner will win a cash prize. We're going to have a final online event where we will announce the winner of each category and the 2 runners-up of each category, and that is planned right now for June 3rd, but is subject to change. So we'll have full details of the competition and associated information available on the MARI website shortly. So what are the next steps? So firstly, everybody that's online right now will receive a link to the first masterclass on April 1st by email. Okay, so you'll get an email through Eventbrite with a link to the April 1st masterclass. We will continue to use that Eventbrite page to take registrations from now on. For anybody that may not have been able to make our event today, for example, but might like to be involved in the masterclass series and ultimately maybe the competition. So the message is tell your friends, and it's the same link as you would have used to register. And finally, only those who are registered will receive the links, updates, the materials that Ron spoke about, and the various content, which will be a big part of this series during April.